Hello, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us today for our presentation where we're talking about 5 ways better communication can help you thrive during these challenging times. I'm joined today by Cheryl Whitman, and I'll introduce you to her a little bit more here in a minute. But first, I want to cover a couple of quick housekeeping items. The first one is about asking questions. So we do want you to ask questions as we're going along today, and you can do that by clicking on the little question option in your toolbar. It'll open up a window and you can type your question in and send that. We'll answer questions at the end. We should have plenty of time for that. This is also the place if you're having any technical issues or things like that. You can ask those questions here. We'll try to help you from behind the scenes. A couple of the most common questions we get. One is about audio. Some people have trouble with their audio when they're using their computer for sound. If that happens to you, you can click on the audio icon. It will give you dial-in information, and you can switch from computer audio to phone audio. That usually resolves any audio question or audio issues people have. Another common question is whether or not we'll be sending out the recording and the slides afterwards, and we will. You will get an email with the recording and the slides later on. So if you want to share that with someone else or you want to go back and get this information again, you're welcome to do that. The slides are also available in the handouts. You'll see there's an option for handouts. You can just click on that little arrow. The slides are there as a PDF. There is also a handout from Cheryl that is in the handouts there that you're welcome to download. And we have also put a case study in there from Solution Reach about one of our skincare practice customers and some of their experiences with using Solution Reach. So you're welcome to download that as well. Again, if you do have any technical issues or questions, feel free to enter those as we're going, and we'll do our best to help you out with that as well. If you are, however, having support-related questions, we would encourage you to go to community.solutionreach.com and click on My Support, or you can email community@solutionreach.com. Also, you may find you can put your question into the search bar there, and knowledge-based articles will come up for you. You may find answers on your own there as well. I do want to encourage everyone, too, to connect with Solution Reach on social media. It's a great way to kind of stay up on all the resources that are currently available or that become available to support you, especially during these difficult times. We share information about all kinds of events, content, news, so just a good way to kind of stay up to date on things. So I want to take a minute to introduce you to Cheryl. She's the CEO of Beautiful Forever Consulting, and she is an author, popular speaker, marketing specialist. She's been doing this in the aesthetic industry for over 30 years, and so she's really known as a kind of a thought leader in the area of management for aesthetic practices. They do quite a bit of consulting and assisting physicians with launching their practices or building new brands, doing events and marketing programs. It has quite a range of experience and works with a real range of practice sizes and types of practices within that aesthetic specialty area. So you'll find that she brings a great insight about aesthetics to what she does, what she talks about, and we're really excited to have her here speaking today. And I'm Leah Chatham. I'm the Director of Content Marketing here at Solution Reach, and I've been developing educational resources for practices, for providers and staff, as well as some time spent doing patient engagement and marketing, so working on creating education for patients. So if I can add anything at the end when we get to our question period, I certainly will try to do so. I do quite a bit of presenting and writing as well. So hopefully between the two of us, we'll be able to answer any questions you have at the end. That all said, I am going to hand this over to Cheryl, and we'll get started with our content. And Cheryl, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you, Leah. That was a wonderful introduction. I appreciated that very much. So we're staying connected. So we're going to enhance the customer experience together. So with the solutions that you offer, solutions that we offer as consultants, we're here today to actually teach you lots of great information about being smart And being smart and having a practice or a medi spa or a business these days is not as easy as it used to be. And there's a lot of new things happening out there. So there's 5 components to smart solutions, and it's staying with patients and better communication with your patients or your clients, if you call them that. I probably will go to patients most of the call. So as a specific, what's specific for you? What's specific? What do you want to create? No, okay, I was going to say on the first slide, but that's fine. Specific to you is creating a digital plan for a better patient communication. Create a marketing plan and stay involved. Stay up to date. Look at your video content. How up to date is your video content? When we go onto websites to do our mystery shopping, we go on to find old video content and nothing new, nothing current. So I think you need to go back and really take a deep dive and look at what you have and what you own and what you can change. That would be your website, your social media, and really with your staff involved, have a meeting and discuss, okay, how can we update this? And having staff of different ages really does help a lot, because what it will do is the younger audience thinks and looks for different things than the older audience like myself. So you really want feedback depending on who your actual patient base is. You want to grow your patient base. So, you know, earlier today I was talking to a client that has mainly, you know, 50 and 60-year-old women, but there is a need for the younger generation. They want to come in, they want to find a place to go to. There's the men, there's the ethnic markets. So you need to be able to open up your marketing, open up your communications, and focus on a multitude of different areas. So getting the staff involved is very important. You know, is there a team leader? Is there somebody who's a cheerleader? And that person has to run a meeting on a weekly basis. Even if it's a 15-minute bagel or brunch or pizza meeting, everybody should be involved and everybody should have involvement and their input. Now, with that being said, right now, maybe people are not in the office or they don't want to get together in one room, which maybe was your meeting room in the past. So now you can do it by Zoom. You can do early morning, you could do evening, you could do weekend. All you need is a very short meeting time, but you all should have the same goal. And your goal is to grow your database, increase your revenue, update all of your content. So when we talk about video, well, do you have a new welcome video? How in-depth do your videos get? Do they talk about everything that you offer? Are you offering virtual events? How much are you really using your digital media these days? So we need to look at that. And is everything affordable to all of your patients? We have to make it affordable these days because you don't know if somebody's out of work, their partner's out of work, the family situation, the kids are at home, they're not at school, what's going on in their life, you don't know. But all you know is that you want to bundle and you want to sell packages and programs. And that's where financing options, which we'll talk about in a minute, are really important in closing your consults, closing your deals, whether you're going to do it online, virtually in a consult, or are you going to do it in the office? So every state right now is in a different place, and we don't know where we'll be this winter. So I think you should be prepared. As consultants, we have been working digitally and virtually for many years when we can't get to a client that lives on the other side of the country. So we're used to a lot of phone call training and education. So using Zoom is newer for us, I have to say. We've been using it the last few months, and it's been terrific. You too can use Zoom. The free version of Zoom is great, and you just sign on, and they do not try to upsell you. It's an educational, valuable tool to be able to communicate with your patients. You can have events, you can have educational information. I suggest having it at the same time every week or every month, probably once a month makes sense. And then internally, if you need to use it every week to have a meeting so people don't have to physically come into the office, that's great too. makes a big difference. You can put up questions, you can see everybody just as you're seeing me now. This could be Zoom, even though this is a different one. There's so many out there. So just choose one that works for you, that's easy. You don't even have to have a computer. I mean, honestly, yesterday I did one on my iPad, a webinar that I ran. We run weekly webinars because my computer had a glitch. And if not, you can always back up with your cell phone. So all you need to have is a cell phone. By having your cell phone, you have it all. And it's amazing today what we can get done on a cell phone. So creating a digital plan, let's go back to talking about that. So digital plan could be a 12-month plan is ultimately what I'd like to see as a consultant. But even if you start with a 3-month plan, that would be great. Sit down and start with a 3-month plan. What do you start with? You start with, let's look at the seasons. Let's look at the weather. Let's look at the holidays. So in the next few months, what's coming up? So let's look at that very carefully. Then you kind of break it down to roles in your office as to who is going to be delegated to do what job. And then you have meetings every week, and you can have virtual events. You can have events in the office. Obviously, because of what's going on with COVID, they'd be timed out. It wouldn't be where you'd have 25 people sitting in a room today, maybe in a year from now. But right now we're looking at smaller. So you can do a full day event, and you could book appointments, and people can actually pay for the time that they're coming in, and that could go towards part charity. It can go towards their service that they're going to have done. So the staff involvement is very important when it comes to communications. So you, if you are the owner or the head provider, have to be in charge. Somebody has to be at the top of your organizational chart so everybody knows who to talk to. But our key goal today is talking about how do we get to the patients? Well, we need the staff involved. You can be the best injector, the best provider, the best surgeon. But if you do not have good staff and you don't have good people answering the phone, that is a problem. And that will, in most cases, show up in your numbers. And we do a lot of mystery shopping for practices that have new practice managers because they're wondering, why can't we close more consults? People are happy with the physician. Maybe there needs to be a staff member monitoring and training and really working with the rest of the staff. So as far as the smart solutions go, it's better patient communications, but the communications start internally. And that's very important, the one-on-one touch points. You actually want to keep one-on-one touch points, meaning if I'm sitting in front of you and I'm doing a consultation and I'm the patient, you're talking to me, you're looking at my chart, you know who I am, you're going to be using my name. You can do the same thing right now online. You can offer the same service. And we're finding by surveying our doctors that it is saving a lot of time and a lot of money. In 12 minutes, we spoke to a doctor and interviewed them the other day. They're able to do a consult, actually tell them how much it's going to cost, discuss payment plan or payment options, and be able to sign them up for surgery in a 12-minute time frame, which is amazing. I don't know a doctor or a practice that can do it in their office in 12 minutes from beginning to end. And that's, again, with less staff. So the doctor's happy because he's obviously paying out of pocket less money. So in order to have the staff involved, everybody needs to know what the goals are, and they need to be communicated very, very carefully and structured. So you need to have a plan. If you need to have a plan in place, we're happy to talk to you about it, but you need to build and strengthen your organization and make sure that all the staff that you do have, maybe they're there part-time now or they used to be full-time, make sure that everybody's job description is in place. And they also have good customer service skills, because it's all about communicating with the patient and making the patient happy and feel special, whether it's on a Zoom call or whether it's in person. So you have to be very specific about your plan, create the plan, and each month, as we talked about, whether it's a holiday, whether it's the weather outside, So we're looking, let's say, at October with Breast Cancer Awareness Month, for example. That should be being planned now. Now you should be planning for holiday gift cards and holiday gift certificates or holiday gift baskets if you do any retail. If you do sales on your website, now is the time to start spiffing that up and update it. It's really important that you be very specific and look at everything that your consumer is looking at, every way that you communicate with them. And we'll go further into that. So next we're going to talk about being measurable. Well, actually patient financing. Sorry about that. The patient financing solutions. Well, here's one of the solutions that will bring a lot of money and revenue into your bank account within a matter of days. So when we talk to practices about, okay, what kind of patient financing option do you offer? And they're not sure, and the staff is not sure, well, then you're not going to use it. It's not going to help your business to grow. Actually, having care credit will make it possible for it to grow. So first of all, the patient has to decide, do they want it? Do they want the service? Do they want what you just offered them in the consult? Now, can they afford it? A lot of times people are not going to tell you when they can't afford something. You know that, and I know that. They're embarrassed. It could be in Beverly Hills. It could be on Fifth Avenue, New York. Maybe they don't want to tell their partner. Maybe they don't want to take the money out of the bank. How do you get them to pay for the services? How do you bundle programs together? So somebody can come in. Right now, time is limited. Time is money for all of us. Most of the providers are seeing less patients over a longer day, and people are tired, but they're spending more time with that one patient. So here's your in. Make it affordable to everybody and let them know before they ask that you have an affordable solution, and you will have better closure rates. I personally promise you that if you're able to offer something to your patient where they can afford it. And right now, there's many new programs, which I think are amazing. So instead of paying $300 a month for 12 months, they could pay $200 a month for 18 months. That's just an example. Might not be a good one. I hope nobody from financing is listening. But I do know that, that it does make a difference when you offer a solution up front. So even with your staff answering the telephones and talking and communicating with your patients, they can mention, do you know we offer patient financing solutions? Would you like to look at our website? Please make sure that the link on your website is working, it is up to date, and it is current. We've seen a lot of old care credit links that need to be updated. So after this, please go on and check it. And you can actually stay on the phone if you have time and actually go through the 1 or 2 minute process real quick with the patient. The other thing that I think is great when I work with the patient coordinators, and I know a lot of you are out there today listening, is you can get patients pre-approved. So the night before, when you're doing your confirmation phone calls, whether they're automated or text messages, behind the scenes, you will know who's pre-approved for how much through care credit. And I think that's something when they started many, many years ago, people really didn't use it very much. And I hope now that you will learn about it, that you will start to use it, because it really does make a big difference if somebody is pre-approved for X amount of money. So if they're pre-approved for $5,000, you know that you can offer it to them, and you know the budget or the limit, where they might come in just saying, I only have $1,500 in my checking account. So having a patient financing solution, and it answers a lot of retail questions. Also, Care Credit's offering all kind of specials if somebody is not a Care Credit card holder and they become one. So for example, I've heard one recently where if they spend $1,000 over a certain amount of time, they will get $100 credit. So there are lots of incentives for you as a practice and for you communicating with your patients about how important it is to make it affordable, to be able to get the services they want done. So you're spending more time with them as a provider. They're spending more time in the office, but they don't want to come back and forth. So let's get several services done at once. The fee might be higher, or should I say will be higher, if you're going to offer many more services. So, but now you can make it affordable. And somebody in your office could sit down and talk to them about it if you don't have time, and they can click on your link, or you can go right on to their phone and they can go on. I spoke to an office the other day who said she takes her personal computer, brings it into the consult room, and actually clicks on the care credit when somebody is interested. So I really do believe that making things affordable to everybody will actually bring in more patients to you. And that word of mouth marketing is really important. So what are they going to go home and talk to their friends? Wow, I was able to afford this, and care credit helped me to do that. And the care credit card they might have from another division, whether it's from going to their vet or the dentist, they might already have a care credit card and might not even know that they can use it in your office. So make sure that you have the signs up that you do accept care credit, or on the phone when you're talking to a new patient especially, or somebody who could be an old patient who might not realize that you take care credit. And I know there's not a lot of time now with each phone call. I do realize that. And I know that everybody is on edge. We're all stressed. There's a lot to get done in a shorter period of time every day. COVID has taken over. Hopefully we'll all be back to where we were in the next few months. But if not, we have to be prepared. So this prep and this smart prep that we're talking about today will help you now, will help you through the future, whether we're working from home or you're working from your practice in your office. You still could make money and you still can close more consults. So you want to make it possible that everybody gets the services done that they want to. And I'm not suggesting that you do the bookkeeping in your office because it's a big headache. You don't want it. It is worth paying whatever the percentage is to care credit, offering specials to your patients, and that patient communication and bonding will be there and even be stronger. So I think it's something that you need to be smart about, and you really need to think about, and your staff might need retraining. So you can call up the company. Actually, Mike's information is right there. Mike Flanagan at Care Credit. It's M Flanagan at Care Credit. It's on the slide, and he could set up training or retraining in your office because there are a lot of staff turnover at this time. So we do want to make sure that that you close more, you have more money in the bank to work with, so you could be de-stressed. Next slide. Well, we want to be specific about our communications, and yes, we do. Digital media plan, going back to that plan, let's figure out what posts, what days, when are you going to create that plan? Every month, how many times are you going to post, whether you, no matter what social media channel it is. So if you're looking at Facebook or you're looking at Instagram, you know, we're also looking now at LinkedIn, which is professional to professional. So it's really something to think about because a lot of professionals are on LinkedIn, but a lot of med spas and practices are not. So I forgot the numbers, but it is a huge amount of miss for all of you that are out there listening today that have a LinkedIn profile. And you need to start promoting your business. There are lots of lawyers and doctors and professionals out there who would come into your practice. But you have to post things that are a little bit different because it's much more professional and a higher level. So it's not peer-to-peer exactly, but you want to post information that is very higher level and not as salesy and more informational and educational. I am a big component of communication and communicate with education. You could see that from my weekly webinars that I'm always communicating with my clients, teaching you how to communicate with your patients. And you have to be very specific and very goal-oriented. You also want it to be very customized. So there's media that you own. What is owned media? Well, it's media that is unique to your brand. So is your brand needing updating? You need to look at your brand because we've been looking at a lot of brands that still have some purple backgrounds and look like they're from 25 years ago, which they are. So you need to go back and look at your brand, assess your brand, and you want to be unique in your brand. So I often use McDonald's M as a brand logo that people recognize, the red M for McDonald's. But you want it to be something in your community where your patients or potential patients would recognize your brand, your name, your slogan, and they will know who you are. And that's really important. So online right now, your website and your social is it. That's what they're all seeing. I mean, we're all on the website and the internet, much more searching. When they go onto your website, what do they want to see? Well, they might want to see you on video. So stop and think about creating an introductory video. Stop and think about creating videos about the different services you offer. Now, you as the owner provider don't have to do all the videos. You can get your staff involved. It's really nice when the staff can get involved in doing some videos. There can be some consults or back and forth questions and answers. There's many things that you can do to get the word out there. Again, it doesn't have to be professional videos. It can be done with your cell phone. So all you have to do is take your phone out, start videoing. If you can get some video testimonials, that communication from one patient to another is amazing. The same thing with the before and after pictures. So your testimonials, the before and after pictures, those are things that you really need to look at. Okay, when was the last time I updated them? Maybe it's time now. When is the best time to get a testimonial and communicate with a patient that you would like a testimonial? Best time is when they're in your office and they're telling you, oh my God, you changed my life. I look amazing. That's the best time to say, we would love a review. That would be the best time, but make sure that they sign a waiver and have them do a 30-second, a 90-second video right then and there. You can have them go into another room. You can have them sitting where they are. Everybody thinks that videos have to be professional. The truth is they don't. As long as you're communicating with your patients, that's what they want to see. And they want to see some personality. They want to see who you really are. The best thing would be is if you could follow a patient from the beginning stages through several treatments, whether it's days, months, weeks, and then throw it all together into one video. You can post them individually. YouTube, you get a free YouTube account, open that up. Everything should be posted video-wise on YouTube. You can even do YouTube videos now and YouTube Live. There's so many options, but I would like you to start with a live stream on one. If you're more comfortable on Facebook or Instagram, start there. Then you can work your way to LinkedIn and YouTube. There's obviously TikTok as well, but that could be a shorter, to the point, and maybe if you're not comfortable doing it, one of your staff members are. So what you have to realize is that patient communication right now, especially now, is really important that you stay in touch on a more regular basis. So it used to be where once a month you send out a newsletter and 3 to 5 posts a week, but now you want to up the game a little bit. You want to put out a blog, maybe you want to do 2 newsletters a month, maybe you want to do more posts, maybe you want to get onto more social media sites, because now we're all on the internet. And what are we doing? We're spending more and more time. But you have to have great subject lines and really good information for somebody to want to look. Don't always make it a special or a sale. That's not what you want, unless you want to be a Groupon house, but you're not going to make any money that way. You can have a lot of tire kickers coming in. And right now, you don't have time for tire kickers. So most of my practices are not offering big discounts or adding extra value, added value, add another service. So if you come in and you get injectables and fillers, maybe you can offer a peel or a facial at their next visit. If they refer a friend, if you don't have a program, you might want to consider putting together a membership program, refer a friend program. People appreciate that. They also appreciate when you communicate with them one-on-one. And you can send a thank you note. It's really nice when you get a thank you note handwritten from a provider. It is rare these days. Everything is by email, but we all are overwhelmed with emails. So it's nice once in a while to get something in the mail. And I'm sure you might even agree with me, because most of us are not getting much mail anymore unless it's a special wedding invitation, which nowadays we're not going to get any for another year. Everybody's moved weddings from 2020 to 2021. So it's very nice if you can send that. In that, you could put a gift card, you can put your business card, a nice note that's personalized. We have some doctors that for their VIP patients, they actually send flowers, which is so great, once a year for their birthday. And I have to tell you, those really become amazing word of mouth patients. Oh my God, my doctor bought me flowers. They put it on social media. That $30 or $40 that you spend is so well worth it. I mean, you can't get that for anything else. You know, it's amazing the way you make somebody feel. And obviously this business is 80 to 90% women. And I don't know too many women that don't love fresh flowers, especially on their birthday. And you could send it a few days early so they can enjoy it for a longer period of time. So it's that one-on-one specific communication. Look at what you own, which is your website, your social media across every channel. Make sure the brand is there, that the brand is the same, that it's consistent. Your messages you send out are consistent to your brand. If you notice, I have blue on the slides. Well, blue is Beautiful Forever's color. We have an accent of an orange, but basically everything is blue. So you have to bring your colors as well as your taglines and your logo into everything that you do. And there should be somebody in the office checking that. So it's not like 5 different people are sending messages out and they're all different. Now, you need to send different messages out to different age ranges, that's for sure, but you want everything to still be branded to your brand. Now, some companies have more than one brand. They have brand extensions, which might be a skincare line, which might be a vein center. There's lots of other brand extensions you can have, but you need to start with one main brand. And maybe we talked about it the other day. We did a webinar on rebranding. Maybe it's time to refresh and rebrand and get a new look. Give your business a facelift. Most med spas and practices these days can use a little bit of a facelift. It could be a small tweak. It could be a larger tweak. I'm happy to look to see what you have and what you might need. But you are in control of your assets and what you have and how you communicate and how people see you. So when they're looking at you on the internet and your website is not up to date, or there's no videos of you talking and they don't know your personality, they might just go on to the next competitor. There's very few places that don't have competition. I mean, very few. So if you look around and do a little competitive analysis right now of who's around and what they're doing and what they're charging, you will see you have much more competition than you believe would ever be out there, because it was just core physicians when we started 25, 30 years ago. Now we have physicians of all types involved. So the gynecologists are taking advantage of vaginal rejuvenation and then going into aesthetics and laser centers. I interviewed Susan Merman yesterday, who actually has one, and we talked about her 2 businesses. So the GYN is great for you to network with. Why? Because they're 100% women. So here you have a lead-in if you're looking to actually communicate and work with other local businesses or practices, and they don't offer what you offer. That is great. And then you can send your patients to them or have a lunch and learn or have an evening event. Again, these events could be virtual. You could do a virtual happy hour. You can do a lunch and learn. And everything is usually recorded. So you can always send that back out in your newsletter. You can always put that back in your posts. There's always a way to repurpose things that you've done. Same thing with blogs. If you've written blogs a few months ago or a few years ago, you can update them and repost them. Remember, we read everything we put out, but the truth is most people don't. They don't want to read. The attention span is short. They want everything quick and fast. This world is 24/7. So there's no way that you can keep up with everything, even if you try. So try to have a life. Try to balance your work. Try to balance your family. It's really not easy to do it all. So if you can have something short and to the point that you're sending out and you're communicating with your patients, they will appreciate that. But don't make it always about a sale and a bargain. Really kind of make it interesting and educational. And so now we're going to go on to our next slide. We're going to talk about what's measurable. We're going to define results. Well, there's key performance indicators, and those are benchmarks. Now, some of you might not be involved in the finances, and that's fine, but you should know in a day, you're booked 50%, who's booked 20%, how much is coming in overall. Are you reaching your goals? What are your goals? How do you define results and how do you measure them unless you really know what your goals are? What does success mean to you? So to some practices we work with, success means I have a virtual event or have an in-office event and I get 30 people. and I make $30,000. That is success to some people. And to other practices, success has a whole other meaning. So what you need to do again is go back and have a meeting and to talk to, maybe the accountant needs to talk to the owner, and if you're the practice manager, to talk about what are our benchmarks? What is success? What will make this practice successful? And everybody has different goals. And the goals will change, obviously, year to year. Maybe you got new pieces of equipment, maybe there's new products and procedures. How effective and efficient are you with your time? Right now, time management is so important. Your revenue per patient is so important right now. That communication with the patient, maybe start doing some of your intake forms online, start doing some of your payments. You can do payments online, even with Care Credit that we talked about. You can online actually do payments where nobody has to touch anything. They could just pay you online, they could sign the forms online, save a lot of time when they get into the office. It might take some telephone time to work it through with some patients that are not as good with the internet. But you need to know, what is your revenue per patient? So if you're spending less time in the office with each patient and making more money, even if you don't know the dollars and cents, the answer is there. The answer is you are making more money because you're seeing more patients, you're spending less time in the office, closing more deals, and there you have it. So we want winning success and winning results. So we need to look usually at the profit margin. The same thing with retail products or anything that you're doing retail and cash. You need to look at what the profit margin is. Where are you making your most money? That's what you should be promoting. So you need to look carefully. Is it my Botox and filler? Is it my lasers? Is it my veins? Is it my non-invasive, minimally invasive procedures? Is it my facelift threads? What's making me the most money now? And how much am I making retail? There should be a percentage of retail that goes out the door with every single patient. So if they're not coming in and they want to reorder, how are you getting those products to them? Now, in some places, they're happy to get out of the house and come purchase it. In other areas, they are more cautious. So you might offer curbside, you might offer home delivery, you might offer to mail it. So think about that. Even if you don't have a shopping cart on your website, that's fine. It does cost money. It does take time to put together. If you have one, great. You need to promote it. If you don't have one, what do? You offer these other options. You have to think out of the box right now and think creative, because being creative is what we want. People want creativity now. They want to try new products. They want to try new masks. How do they know about these products and these masks and this retail? You might have to start doing some videos. Have your estheticians or your medical assistants doing some videos on how to take care of your skin. Now it's obviously warmer weather, but coming up, we're gonna have to change that. So you can do a couple of them at a time. They don't have to be professionally done. They can be done on your iPad or your phone or your computer. And if you wanted to have a couple of professional ones done, that's fine. They could stay 6 and 10 feet away. I did that when COVID was just starting, and now I'm just doing it on my own. And I guess got to take my personality from New York, take it, leave it, whatever. But this is it. But it does come down to the bottom line. So what is the retention rate? Okay, so go back and look at, let's say, Mary, your esthetician. What's her retention rate? So Mary might be doing great, but then you look at her retention rate and see that most people are not coming back. It's all new patients that you're working really hard to feed her, but they're not being retained. So now we have to figure out why. Why is she not successful? Or why is she so successful and she can teach somebody else in the practice how to be successful? There are ways to upselling and cross-selling and getting people to rebook before they leave. And that is one of the successful virtues that you need to work on. So that fast response rate, wow, with this 24/7 world, you need to respond fast. I mean, most people will tell you need to respond within 3 minutes. Is that practical? I'm not sure. I'm always talking about follow up, follow up, follow up. I'm always talking about retention. I'm always talking about how can you retain somebody and respond to them. Well, sometimes it takes a text message that's short. Sometimes it takes an email. An automated system is great. You have to have a solution to get back to your patient. So even if you're closed for an extra day during the week, or you're closed during lunch hour, who's going to be getting those messages, whether your messages are on the phone or your messages are people just calling, emailing, who's responding? And if it's an email response, you have to be very cautious as to who is emailing, what they're saying, and how they're saying it. You need to look at that carefully. So I'm suggesting that maybe it even be a template that you use, because as using a template, at least it's something that is consistent, and you as the office manager or provider has pre-approved it. And all you have to do is customize it and fill it in. So that fast response rate is very important. Often as mystery shoppers, we'll go on to a website and we'll fill out the intake form. I have to tell you, sometimes it takes 4 days to get a response back. Sometimes we don't even get a response back. Very rare do we get a response back even the same day. And really, you want it to be within the hour. So if somebody is in the office that could look at these alerts when they come in, really important. Text messaging is a great way to communicate. Not everybody wants to be text. I do. A lot of people don't. So you need to find out how your patients want to be communicated. How do they want you to get in touch with them? What's their preference? Maybe you want to take a poll. Maybe you want to do a survey. Survey is really easy. You can just go to SurveyMonkey, put in some questions, send out a link, but don't have it more than 3 or 4 questions, because you want people to answer them and not just close it. Or let people know, wow, we're sending you a survey because you're a VIP, and we really appreciate your feedback. It makes a big difference for us in our business. And so people will do that. So you might want a survey to find out how they communicate best and how would they like to communicate. So maybe then again, you have another staff meeting to discuss this, because you want to see how well people are communicating with each other, and is your staff communicating in a timely fashion? You should keep a daily log of who has reached out, what it is they're looking for, and how the communication has been followed up. And if you don't get them on the phone or the email and there's no response, then what? Most places, done, finished. They don't put you in a funnel system. Not that you need one, but the truth is that there needs to be follow-up after that. So every night before you leave, that has to be reviewed. Every morning when you come in, that has to be reviewed. So you want results, you want success. Doesn't happen overnight. It's not easy. It's not easy for any of us, but you need to do that follow-up, and that follow-up will make a very big difference. That fast response rate is very important. I'm curious to know, even in the chat box, to let us know how long after somebody calls you or emails you, are you responding back to them? Because I can tell you that I probably know the answer from talking to so many hundreds and hundreds of practices over the years, and it's not very fast. And then if your provider finds out that this is happening when we reveal it in a report card after a mystery shop or a mystery phone call, they're astounded. Oh no, not my staff. That's my best staff member. Well, okay, they might be, but each staff member, we know, we understand that you're wearing 100 hats. We know that your job description says A, B, and C, but we know you're doing A through Z. We get it. We understand it. The owner or the providers do not. They don't get it. They're in surgery. They think that you're doing nothing. And it's very hard to let them know what is going on. So maybe if there was a checklist and there's something that needed to be followed for that response rate, equaling success, have some meetings and talk about it, and offer these smart solutions to your practice after today. The patient communications will be better, the communications within the office will be better, and your bottom line will be stronger. And what else can we ask for? We want success, we want revenue, and we want results. So that is the best takeaway on being smart and how to take care of your patients as well as your staff. And now we'll go to the next slide. Attainable. What's realistic? What are your objectives? Are they realistic? Are there better ways for you to communicate with your patients? Again, you need to go back now and look, okay, this is how we communicate with our patients. This is the percentage of patients that actually respond back to us. So maybe you need an added value offer. something that they really want to come in. So if they come in and they get a peel and a facial, maybe offer them a mini microdermabrasion, or offer them micro needling, micro channeling session if it's something that you think they might want to try. Even if you try it on their hands, it's okay. Just let them feel and see and be educated. Everybody wants education. Everybody wants to understand, how am I spending my money? Am I getting value for my money? So same thing when it comes to Botox. If they see that there's a sale by one of your competitors and they're doing it for $8 or $9 or $10 a unit, and yours is $15 a unit, and they're conscious of money, they don't know that you offer patient financing options, they might be going to your competitor. Most women will go where they see a special or a deal. Everybody wants that added value. Interesting enough, if you look at the men's market, which is an untapped market, we could talk about that another day, that market is amazing, and they are so tuned into the provider that they won't switch for $10 off, $100 off. They're committed. So their retention rate for men is much higher than women overall. So maybe you want to start marketing and get some men in, because as we're living longer, people want to look better. So you can get some more men in where maybe in the past the men didn't come in. The best way to get the men in there and offer some added value is maybe give their female partner or wife a certificate for them to come in, or have a men's virtual event or a men's event. We did some amazing men's event with cigar rollers and, all kind of specialty cars that they could have for the weekend in a raffle. And the Ferrari always wins, but it doesn't have to be that large. It can be small. And most of these could be done on no budget, low budget, any budget. You could send out gift cards to everybody. You don't have to. But I think the way to get to the men's market is through the women's market. Well, at least I know that for sure. There were studies done that most men, it takes them like 7 years once they see something in a photograph or a woman tells them something about themselves for them to actually go and get something done or go for a consult. They need more education and hand-holding than we do, because we've just been doing this longer. I mean, probably getting Botox and filler for, I don't know, it feels like 100 years, but it's probably 20, 30 years. So we're educated where the men are not as educated as we are. So that staff and patient communication is a key focus, and I stress it all the time, because you need to communicate not only to your patients, but to your staff, so the staff can communicate with the patients. If your staff is happy, your patients will feel it. They'll know it. They'll hear the smile through the phone call. Same thing if you're wearing a mask in the office, they can see if you're smiling and they can hear your personality. It comes through. Well, maybe the eyes have it, and you need to spiffy up your eye makeup, take better care of your skin, have your skin glowing. But the truth is, if we're wearing the mask and you can see the eyes tell all. And so you should be smiling, you should be enthusiastic, and your patients, as well as your staff, should feel that. And when it comes to building loyalty, by you showing that you care and giving solutions to their problems. So they're having a consult, there's lots of solutions. Some they can afford, some they can't. Could you make it affordable to them? Well, you have an option now, but what if they really can't afford even to get a credit card? So what do? You have to come up with options that maybe are smaller. Come up with a 12-month blueprint for your patient. Okay, every month come in, and according to your budget, this is what we will do. Some months it'll be a facial and a peel and microdermabrasions and microneedling, and some months it might be Botox and filler. So you have to work that out. And depending on their budget will depend on how well you do. But role playing within the office is very good, especially if you hear a phone call that has just been heard by many sitting in the office, and it didn't go really well. The person was on, asked a lot of questions, didn't book. Doesn't mean it's not a tire kicker calling or some competitor calling, but that should be addressed, and role playing. Role play as to, okay, we got this phone call, but how else could we handle this? How else could we handle this better? How could we have closed that consult or closed that deal or educated that person so they would go on our website, or they would go onto our patient financing option link, or they would come in and make an appointment instead of hanging up and say, "I will call you back, let me think about it." So who's on the phone, who's representing you, or who's answering those emails and who's representing you. So role playing within is great. We do that as a consulting company virtually, and it really does help. And then, sometimes the providers need to give a little bit more education to the staff on the service that they're providing, because they think a new piece of equipment came in, a new service came in. Oh yeah, everybody knows, we had an hour's training on it, everybody should know. Well, everybody doesn't always know. So sometimes it needs to be some extra hand-holding time, not literally, but where you can really be learning and listening from the provider themselves, and maybe even using the staff members as examples, and trying the services out so they can better explain the services and communicate better with the patients when they're calling or when they're in. And everybody wants incentives. Who doesn't want incentive? Can't imagine anybody doesn't want incentive for anything. So incentives could be a small thing where they can get a service, you could join a gym. There's so many ways you could send somebody who works for you, who's the winner of the month, to a local spa for a manicure and pedicure. It could be as small as tapping somebody on the shoulder or shaking somebody's hand, I guess if you have gloves on these days, and letting them know that they did a great job. That's really what an incentive is. An incentive is different for everybody. So you need to learn what your incentives are. It could be a gas card. It could be anything small. It could be something large. But you want your staff happy, because if your staff is happy, then your patients will be happy. And it's very obvious to somebody walking in or calling if the staff is a happy staff member, if they're paying attention, they're really spending the time, they do the follow-up, they come, and when they're coming in, or it's on the phone or it's email, if it can be the same person following through with the patient's journey, you will find that you will have better retention. People like referencing one person. So one doctor we deal with has Lisa, and all of his surgical patients talk to Lisa. And so you know that you have a question, you have a problem, there's anything about finance, about pre or post procedure questions, you call Lisa. Now, Lisa can make some videos, because Lisa's only one person, and could send those videos out or text message them out, and people could be watching pre and post videos of what to do, what not to do, because often people forget when they leave the office. But if not, Lisa will call you back. She's on the phone, and it could be even weekends and nights. So you need to have somebody who's on call, or somebody willing to be on call. Again, maybe if you incentivize the staff. We've spoken to many practices where the doctors say, I bonus and I incentivize on a regular basis. Then we talk to the practice manager and the staff, and we learn that that's not true. They think by signing the paycheck, it's done. I've incentivized them. It's not enough these days. So you need to have a stimulus package of your own. That would be great. But happy birthday offers are fabulous. It was probably my number one when I ran. Dr. David Goldberg had a skincare center in New Jersey, and it was one of the first med spas. And I opened that up about 25 to 30 years ago. And we had happy birthday offers at that time. Now you have solutions, and you have ways of doing it through email and text messaging, which we didn't have then. But the happy birthday offers were always our largest offers. Whatever we gave, $50 off for your birthday, $100 off for your birthday. When those patients came in, they were so appreciative that they got the gift. They came in and they used it, and for them, it's like play money, so they didn't even count it. So if something was 500 or 3,000, they just used that birthday incentive. Even a birthday cheer and a birthday hello on their birthday with a pop-up text message or video from your staff would be great. I often make online these cakes that have people's names on them, and I send those out because it's personalized. So you want to keep everything relevant, clear, and targeted. So there's 5 C's to communication. Well, there's many 5 C's to communication, but the 5 C's to communication today, what we're going to talk about is consistency, being consistent across all boards with your staff, with your branding, with your communication, with your patients. Clarification. We want to be clear, very concise, very to the point, and no run on sentences and paragraphs and pages and forget it. It used to be the thing. It's not anymore. Now it's fast, quick, and maybe it's TikTok. Commitment. You need a commitment from your staff. If you have that, then you'll have the collaboration from the staff and it will come through with your patients. And that connection is so important. Connecting it all together, being relevant, clear, the 5 C's of communication. If you can just write that down and communicate. It's time sensitive, like I guess today is too, but it's time sensitive. You need to have a digital media calendar. When I say time sensitive or anything about time, what does that mean? It's now. It's now. You have to focus on what's going on now. So if you're a dermatologist and we're talking about wearing a mask and we're talking about skin issues, that's now. It's time sensitive. So get your message across all your channels of what it is you want to get out there, and share the details internally first so everybody on the team knows what your message is and what your monthly special is or what's going on now. So whether you have information in the office through a meeting or through a flyer you hand out, or just something that you put up in the lunchroom on a board, or something you email out to your staff is really important. The live educational videos, the telehealth is amazing. The way it has come around in the last 6 months, it's booming. It was always a great concept, but now it's amazing. And the telehealth is something you should look into. If you are not a provider of medicine and you don't need telehealth, you can do a consult if you're an esthetician for skincare, for product, and sending out newsletters, not with just specials, again, with information. Adding in some links to your before and after pictures, to your testimonials, add in some links to your videos, but make sure it's all actually time sensitive. You want to make sure that it's talking about what's going on today, what's the season, what's happening now. So in our next slide, we're going to offer you time with me or time with one of my consultants. And this is open for attendees only. And we have a strategy planning consult session, including some follow-up, and it's a $300 value. You can email me, you can call, you can get in touch with one of our staff. The Beautifully Profitable book, we're happy to give you a discount code for that as well. And I look forward to your questions.
Great. Thanks so much, Cheryl. We're tight on time, so if we can get to a question or two, we will. If we can't, what we will do is make sure your question gets to Cheryl and she follows up with you via email. So a couple of quick things here before we do questions. I wanted to make sure for any of you who came to the webinar through Paycom that you know how to get your Paycom CEUs. This is approved for 1 CEU from Paycom. You can see the index number there on the screen. If you select yes in the exit survey as you're leaving, you'll see there's a question that says, do you want your Paycom CEU certificate? Just click yes. We'll make sure that gets sent to you. If you miss any of this in terms of the index number or you forget to say yes, you will get an email from us, like we said, with the recording and the slides later. You can always respond back and ask us or look for the index number in the slides at a later time. I also did want to mention, earlier I had said if you were a Solution Reach customer and you had questions or you had a support issue, you could always go to our community for help. For those of you who aren't familiar with Solution Reach, this is also a really great way to find out more about our products and services and how we provide support to our customers. You can see our knowledge base. We offer customer forums. This is where you go when you need support for chat or for email. It's just a good way to get a better sense of sort of who we are as a company and how we support our customers. We also would like to make an offer today. If you're not currently a Solution Reach customer and you'd like to learn more about how we can help you, you can sign up for a demo at this link, and we will give you a $75 Amazon gift card for that demo. This is a great way to find out more about how we can help with especially with some of the digital needs you may have today as we deal with this time during COVID, We do offer a telehealth solution. We offer a lot of paperless options for ways to communicate, to get intake done, to get bill pay done, to be able to make sure you can provide pre-visit instructions in your communications with patients so they know what type of visit they're having. So we're happy to walk through all of those things with you so that you can kind of streamline your operations and communication with patients, especially now when you may have to do very quick changes and communicate those out to your patients. So if you have questions for us in addition to that, or you want to follow up with us, here's our contact information. We have reached the hour. I think we could do a minute or two of questions, Cheryl. One thing I think would be good to talk about is you mentioned telehealth, and we get a lot of questions about telehealth. What are you seeing as some of the best ways for aesthetic practices, skincare practices, to be using telehealth right now to help them?
Well, it's actually expanding their virtual reach. And the whole telehealth, telemedicine has been saving so much time and money. So you could do a consult, and that's saving time and money, a telephone check-in, and it saves time even for some office visits. And the physicians are getting paid, which is great. So they're getting paid for their time. They're not just giving it away for free on phone calls. So there are a lot of benefits virtually also because it's convenient, and they could see more patients in a day, and it's automated record keeping. So a lot of the physicians are appreciating all of the telemedicine, telehealth options that you offer, and we've only heard some good results, especially where you could make the appointment, automated appointment scheduling and reminders. I'm sure all of that is included in that. And so anything that can help the providers to see more patients in a day and make more money in a day is a win-win.
Yeah, so you're seeing kind of the same thing we're seeing, which is people who are, because they're having to spend more time in the office, maybe doing more sanitization, or more patients don't want to physically come in, but they're trying to keep their numbers up. What we're seeing is people switching back and forth sort of between telehealth and in-person visits so that they can still see as many or sometimes even more people and do all of this additional social distancing and sanitizing and all the stuff they need to do because they're able to do some of those consultations and follow-up visits in telehealth. Or that you're saying you're kind of seeing the same thing from practices you're talking to?
Yes, absolutely. And also bringing the esthetician into the home is great, as we talked about, for digital skin consults, purchasing products, selling gift certificates, setting up appointments. I think that the virtual way of being able to sell and work is just making it so much easier. And they too, because most of the time making commission on sales of products, are happier because they're seeing bigger commission checks.
That's great. And I'll mention, Cheryl said something about doing those check-ins. We're finding that those text-based check-ins are really great too, where you've got staff using the two-way texting to be able to kind of do that 5 or 10 minute engagement to assess whether or not someone needs to be seen in person or through a telehealth consultation. And now you can, get paid for those 5 to 10 minute, text check-ins back and forth too with providers, which is great. So we did go a couple minutes over, but I'm glad we did get to chat a little more about the telehealth piece because I think that that's really important to people. If you do have additional questions, feel free to send them to us. And if they're for Solution Reach, we'll answer them. If they're for Cheryl, we'll make sure they get forwarded to her. Again, you will be asked on your way out if you want that Paycom CEU certificate. Just say yes, and we'll get that to you. We will send out that email later with the information that has the link to the recording as well as the slides. Again, you're welcome to write us back if you have additional questions, want to set up a demo, and that demo link for the $75 gift card will be in that email as well. So I want to thank Cheryl for being here today. Thank you so much for coming and talking to everybody.
Thank you so much, Lee. I totally appreciate it. I do want to also remind everybody that they get a copy of my magazine, which has, I believe, like 5 published articles in it that I think they'll find very informative. And that's one of the downloads that you're offering today.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Yeah. So grab that on your way out, everybody.
Yeah.
And thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. We hope to see you back here again for future webinars. We really appreciate you taking the time to be with us. Stay safe, everyone, and have a great day.